Hi guys. It's been about 3 weeks since my last video. Um, my last video obviously was really talking about the steroid that I'd had quite a bad reaction to. And I was kind of anticipating that 3 or 4 days it would take to come out my system. It actually took over a week. It was a week to the following Saturday, and then another couple of days, the Monday after that, until it actually fully came out of my system. Um, and that week was pretty horrendous. I'm still pretty much getting over it now in terms of what my body's been through in the last sort of few weeks since the beginning of the year. It's just really wiped me out quite a bit. I'd say I just managed to get over that steroid withdrawal on the Monday, and on the Wednesday I had my second treatment of immunotherapy, which obviously is a good thing. It's difficult to say really what side effects I'm getting from that, because I'm still on this fentanyl patch for pain. It's a bit difficult to know the symptoms that I'm getting are from that or from the immunotherapy. In terms of generally how I'm doing right now, overall, I'm doing like 1,000% better than I was those 3 weeks ago. But the things I'm still getting is I'm still very tired. It is to be expected, really, as I say, with everything I've gone through since the start of the year. And also the fact that I am in treatment anyway, regardless. I'm also finding as well that I'm still having quite bad nights, which I think is the fentanyl patch. We have reduced the dosage again, so I'm on 37 now. So we're making good progress. But I think maybe that's still too high. Because again, I'm changing it, and then the night, because I change it in the evening now, that night I'm having a really bad night basically. Getting the night sweats like I was before really bad, and having sort of strange thoughts. It's not as bad as it was, but I am still getting that, which is causing me to not really get a good sleep. And obviously I'm staying in bed longer the next day till the afternoon, and then I stay up longer that day, so it's kind of like a bad cycle, which I really need to try and get out of, obviously. And where I'm resting so much as well, I'm really struggling to do anything physically at all, really, still. Well, not anything, but I get tired very quickly. I really need to try and start doing just some really minor sort of basic exercises in my legs, I think. Because where I'm resting so much, and I'm not really getting out and about, when I do go out, it really tires me out. And I think there's probably simple exercises I can do, type of exercise they tell you to do when you're in hospital, really, when you're staying in the bed, just to get the strength of my legs and stuff starting to get a bit better. And overall as well, obviously they do tell you if you're suffering from fatigue, the best thing to do is to actually try and do some exercise. Obviously not anything crazy, because that will make the tiredness worse, but a little bit of gradual exercise can actually help with fatigue. So I need to try and start doing something like that as well. One thing I really wanted to speak about as well is in relation to the fentanyl patch. I did actually get a referral to a palliative care team which is local to me. Now, just before I talk about that, palliative care is always something that whenever a nurse or something suggests it to me, they sort of straight away are kind of like, oh, it's nothing to panic about, and it doesn't mean that necessarily things are going bad. And the reason they say that is because basically a palliative care team is normally the people that deal with people that are basically been declared as terminally ill, which basically means they know that there's nothing else they can do for you, and it's just about keeping you comfortable. Now, no one said that to me, that is the case for me right now. But basically the hospital have referred me to a local team, because as I've said on a couple of previous occasions, we do live quite far from the hospital where I get my main treatment. And with my pain relief, my fentanyl patch, that is something which is obviously an ongoing thing in terms of changing the dosage quite regularly. So really needed someone more local that I could speak to and go and see, to talk about the dosage and things like that. So that's the only reason they referred me to a local palliative care team, is to manage my pain control. But when we actually went to the local hospice where they're based, we actually spent about an hour and a half there, which did completely knock me out, but it was actually really useful. And although it obviously seems scary when someone suggests that to you, especially when someone says about going to your local hospice, I would actually really recommend it, because we spoke about a lot of different things. Obviously, mainly we spoke about my pain control and what they can do and try with that. But they also spoke about a lot of different things as well that they offer there. So obviously they were talking about things like the support that they can offer, out of hours numbers that you can call if you get ill suddenly and you're obviously getting concerned, which when you have cancer, every time you feel, well, I don't know if anyone else has that, but for me, anytime I feel something different, or I don't feel right, or I don't feel well, it puts me into a bit of a panic. So obviously your brain sort of jumps away to the worst sort of scenario, really, because you've got cancer. I tend to overthink things, and it does sort of worry me quite a lot. So an out of hours numbers that kind of gives you priority, for like bank holidays, weekends, stuff like that, which is good. They also have physiotherapy support there. So as I was just saying about the exercise, once maybe I feel a little bit better, to maybe go and try and they've got a little gym there, just to try and, as I say, build up some strength. Nothing crazy, but just get me moving around a bit more. So that can help with fatigue, but can also help with pain management as well. So that's important. Psychological support, so counselling support they offer. And that's not just for me, because they were asking my husband as well, kind of how he feels about things. So that's another thing that they offered. They were also talking to me about some things which are quite difficult to talk about, but are also really, really important, and are things that I hadn't actually thought about yet. I think I mentioned in one of my other videos that I have been trying to make preparations if things obviously don't go to plan. So I've got a will in place that's been in place for quite a while now, but also things to put with the will, just to make it easier for kind of the executors of the will, about like what financial things I've got on where, so it's easy for them to find things and to contact people. Other wishes, because obviously the will is kind of pretty much just the value of your estate and who you want it to go to. If there's like specific valuables, or like for me personally, my dogs, which are like basically my babies, I will actually be able to show you them today, because as you can see, I'm actually videoing from downstairs, which makes it change. I can just show you. So this is Riley. Riley. Look at the camera. Yeah. So Riley's my little old man. He's 9. And I've also got Roscoe. He's on the floor. Hopefully you'll be able to see. He's asleep at the moment. But it's little and large, because Roscoe is actually a Pyrenees mountain dog. He's pretty huge. I think he's just under 60 kilograms now. So you have a bit of a mixture, but so yeah, echoes, things like that. Normally people who have kids would put in about guardianship and stuff. Obviously for me, it's just for me it feels, I know people probably will say that's not correct, but for me, they are like my children, especially now that I'm not going to have any of my own kids. So for me, it was really important to write in there as well. And have a note which basically says what I want to happen with them, who I want to look after them, stuff like that. So I have made some preparations which I felt were quite good, but the 2 things that I just want to quickly say that they brought up with me, to say, was very difficult at the time, and it did make me a bit emotional. I'll try and hold it together if I can right now. But the 2 things are basically whether you want to be resuscitated or not. So that's basically if something happens and you've actually been declared clinically dead. So if your heart gives out, And you're literally there, like, and they're trying to sort of revive you. Basically, it's if you are clinically dead, they don't bring you back. They don't try to bring you back. And the other thing, I can't remember the name of it. It's basically a legal document which says that if I'm not in a state where they can ask me personally, so for whatever reason I'm not able to communicate with them, I'm too ill, at what stage I want them to stop giving me treatment. That's a separate document as well. I'm not going to talk too much detail about how that conversation went because I don't want to get upset on camera. But those are things that are actually really important, and it just hadn't even really crossed my mind to that stage. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because of my background with work, I just kind of focus on the financial side. But those things are actually really important because if I don't put that in place, it's going to be really horrendous if that does happen. For my husband and my family to make those kind of decisions. And obviously, the reason why I'm doing things like the will and putting things together is to try and make it as easy as possible for them in that circumstance. So, those couple of things as well they brought up, which obviously is things that I need to sort out. They also, another thing as well, they talked about helping the home in terms of like equipment, which is not something I specifically need right now. But again, obviously, if things get worse and I get less mobile and I get more problems, more conditions and stuff like that, they have people there that can help me with that as well. So, and lastly, they have like a well-being centre, I think they call it, which is just a centre where you can go and do different activities, basically. Because obviously, in a hospice, you do have people that are actually living in the hospice. But also you can just go there and get involved in it as well. And it's quite varied. There was some physical things like a breathing clinic and techniques for that. And then there was other things like just arts and crafts stuff, just to get people kind of doing something a bit creative and a bit different, which can be helpful. And then they do like pamper days like every 8 weeks or something. So it was really helpful, actually. There's a lot of support that they can offer, which is really, really helpful to know about. So although it was tiring, the actual meeting itself, it was really helpful. So again, I'd say I know it doesn't sound nice when people suggest it to you. And, as it was for me, because people have said about getting in touch with my local hospice before, and I just didn't want to really do it. I just didn't really want to be in it. I didn't know how it was going to be. I've never been in a hospice before. Well, I've done a 1-day volunteer thing at a children's hospice, but that's it. So I was just reluctant, really. But I would say, don't try not to think of it in those terms. Just think of it as another resource, basically, of a centre which has loads of resources to help you with all different things you could be struggling with for your illness. So really good to take advantage of all the help you can get. So I definitely recommend doing that if it is suggested to you. So yeah, we had that meeting, I think it's at the end of last week, so just recently. So basically, over the last sort of few weeks, I've not done a huge deal. I've mainly been trying to rest and just get my strength back up. As I said, in the hospital, I didn't get much rest, really, because you're more into sort of the hospital routine. Whereas at home, obviously, you just work around how you're feeling. I have made sure that I've been getting enough fluids every day, so at least 1 litre, but try for more. So keeping my fluids up and also making sure I do eat. People often ask about your appetite. I mean, basically, in terms of my food, I'm eating every day. I'm eating at least 3 meals. They're probably smaller. They're definitely smaller than they would have been before I got ill. But ever since I've been diagnosed, even in my year of remission, I never really went back to how I was before I was ill in terms of food. I mean, prior to that, I could eat I could eat a lot. I really enjoyed my food and I could really eat a lot of stuff, and I did, which probably didn't help in terms of my illness. Because you eat a lot of rubbish stuff as well. But in terms of now, as I say, I am eating. I'm trying to really incorporate as many healthy foods as possible every time I do eat. Because obviously, if you're not eating a lot, then you need to make sure what you are eating is really giving your body some good nutrients. But I also understand as well, although I don't feel like eating, it's really important to give your body nourishment, because obviously I'm fighting so many things at the moment in terms of my body. I need to give it the energy to do that. Um, I do think that the fluids are more important. So if I'm really struggling one day, I will eat less and drink more. So I always focus on making sure my fluids are kept up every day. That is the main priority. But secondary to that is obviously making sure I do get some good food into me to give me energy. So I have been doing that, but I can't really say that I'm really enjoying food at the moment. I'm not really like getting into it. I'm enjoying it that much. But again, I'm hoping that with time, um, things will get better. So basically where I'm at now is, I think I'm going to speak to the palliative care team, the local one at the hospice, probably tomorrow actually, because so we did reduce the patch down again at the end of last week, but I do still think it's too high, because I'm getting the same problem that when I'm changing it over to the new patch, I have a really bad night that night, and I think it's basically just giving me a surge of too much drug. Um, and as I say, I mean, actually, I think there is a great possibility that I might not actually need that fentanyl patch at all. That something has changed enough that that pain I was having is not actually there, because every time I've reduced it, I haven't felt any pain. Any of that lower back pain hasn't come back. So it might be a case of where I'm still, if I do reduce it, I get to a stage of maybe like, I don't know, because it goes down in 12. So if I get to 12 milligrams an hour, that I start to get a little bit of that pain feeling again, and it is actually still there, but it's less. But the way I'm kind of thinking is we reduced it so much, and 37 I don't think is a massive dose, to feel absolutely none of that pain whatsoever still. I think there's a good chance that I might actually need the fentanyl patch at all. But as I say, it has to be gradual, because it is a very strong opioid drug, so you can't just suddenly just come off it. And we could, but it won't be very good for you. So I need to just gradually take it down. So I think I'm going to speak to him again tomorrow. I'm not sure how long you have to have been on a dose before you can reduce it again. I'll find out. As I say, it normally goes down in 12, so probably drop it down to 25 and then see from there. Because I think, as I say, some of this tiredness is in relation to the fentanyl patch. Obviously, the nights when I'm changing it and I'm having a bad night, I know it's definitely the fentanyl patch. But I'm also getting very hot pretty much all the time. I think that is probably in relation to the fentanyl patch, because I say it is most of the time. It's not really hot flushes as such. Although I did actually ask the hospital to do a test to see if menopause had started. Because obviously with the radiotherapy being directly to basically my ovary that I've got left, and obviously there is a high chance that's going to have happened. So I haven't got the results of that yet. We'll see what that says. It could be a combination of the two things, I'm not sure. But taking all of that into consideration, I would say at the moment, I mean, I could be wrong, but I would say really the only thing that I think I've got as a side effect of the immunotherapy, if at all, is this kind of achiness in the joints for a few days after I have the infusion. But I really have to see how it goes from now on. So my next treatment is going to be in about 2 weeks' time, I think, which will be my third infusion. And it may be a case, I'm hoping it's the case, that my fentanyl patch would have reduced quite a lot again before I have that third treatment, so that I'll know after that, if I am having symptoms again, that it'd be more related to the immunotherapy rather than the fentanyl patch. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, so basically I'll see how it goes, and then I will probably update you in another couple of weeks if nothing changes after my next treatment, to let you know how it goes. So yeah, I'll speak to you again soon, guys. Take care. Bye.